All right, because it's. Are you hearing me? All right. So how are you, brother Frank? I'm doing fine, thanks, man. Um, yeah, we're gonna start in a few minutes as soon as I can get myself organized here. Yes, sir. Mm, just sometimes. All right. We have some people on there, but we're just waiting for a few more to join us. And then we get started. All right, so I play a little bit more music and then we get it going. Fear can stay. Your light is shining on my way. Mountains tremble, oceans roar. Still your love is unshakable forevermore. I will sing with all my soul. Your endless grace has made me whole. You're always by my side. You never let me go. Your love will carry me more than I could know. Through fire, through the storm, your promise is my God. Forever you are near, always by my side. I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. So I will sing. How are you? With praising friends. Your love in endless place. I write my shield, my constant life. Forever, you're I come my side. Always by my side. You never let me go. What are you watching for? Every breath I take, your mercy overflows. Through fire, through the storm, your promise is my guide. Forever you are near, always by my side. Nice to see you too. Forever you are watching from Canada? Okay. Well, invite your friends to join us. We have a special guest tonight. And we're going to be talking about some very relevant, some things that are very relevant. Yeah, invite some people. We're going to start in about 2 minutes. When the thunder shakes the skies, I see your fire in my eyes. No fear can steal the ground I stand, for I am held within your hand. Faith unbroken, heart set free. Your mighty love is fighting for me. Storms may rage and shadows hide, but I will not fall. You're here by my side. Unchanged, that you are near.
All right.
Faith unbroken, strong and true. My every breath belongs to you. The cross has spoken, the great denied.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. Let me just get back to where I need to be. All right. Um, Thank you, Brother Frank, for joining me and the impact where your story is your testimony. Thank you for being here. You have been here before, so we know that you're no stranger to this platform, right? Um, yeah. And but before we get started, I just want to say that for all of you who are watching and you're living in the tropical islands or tropical countries, I want you to get, if you're looking about coming to America, I want you to get through in the winter time. I don't want you to get through to come here in the summertime. And you can call me cruel if you want. But I want, because there are a lot of you who are in different countries that, I don't know if the word ungrateful is the right word, um, not appreciative. So when somebody comes and gives you something, you don't appreciate it because you wanted more. It's not what you were expecting. But when it snows here and it is 12 inches or higher, like 18, 19, 20 inches, we still have to go to work. Okay? We still have to go to work in the degree that is sometimes below zero. So the next time somebody give you something, take it with gratitude and say thank you. I just had to throw that in there. Brother Frank, you know me. I have to kind of throw that, you know, because I'm talking from my own experience. Yeah, and I'm not talking about friends. I'm talking about family, right? Some of you have families that struggles and come home and give you something, and you're so ungrateful. So, sure, I don't know how I get there, but I'm there. All right, brother Frank. So today, today we are going to be talking about husband, father, business owner, and Christian, right? We know that um, being a husband comes with its own challenges, right? Being a father comes with its own challenges, and being a business owner comes with a whole set of different challenges, and being a Christian has a whole nother barrage of challenges, right? So it seems like it's a lot of challenges. Maybe we should have just pick one topic and talk about it. Yeah, a lot of challenges, man. But we are going to kind of we're gonna go through some of them. We know we're not gonna get through all of them, but there's always another time that we can come back and have a discussion, right? Um, um, so, um, husband, father, business owner, Father Frank, who are you really, and how do you keep the order straight? Exactly, that's the question. And if you can answer that question, you're in a good place. Who am I? Hmm. Um, yes, give me 1 second. I think my audience not hearing me on. All right, start now. Let me see if I can hear it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. All right. So hope they can hear. Go ahead, because I cannot change the settings. So you're high. I have you on a higher thing with my phone, so I can see they can see the back. Um,
Oh, I got you. I got you.
right. So you're going to probably have to speak up a little louder. All right.
Let me do this.
All right. Yes, I like that sound right there. I'm going to raise the bar a little bit here.
Can you hear me now? Pretty good.
Yes, I can hear you. All right.
Okay. Okay.
All
Well,
right.
as I was saying, I mean, that's a pretty heavy question, and I think it's a very good question. I think that it's one of those questions that people, especially we as men, don't necessarily ask ourselves. We just get into the grind of life, and whatever comes, that's what we have to deal with. But who I am, there was a time when I wasn't a husband, a time when I wasn't a father, a time when I wasn't a Christian, a time when I wasn't a business owner. Who is that person? And I am a man who, a man who is who wants to do the best that I can in life, fulfill the purpose that I've been called to in life, and be able to help as many people along the way. So if I were not a husband, if I were not a father, if I were not a Christian, if I were not a business owner, that's who I am at my core. So before all of these titles were bestowed upon me, these are the things that were important to me, and they still are important to me even more today.
Okay. So you, I'm sure, I'm sure we all have challenges, right? We are faced with
Yes.
various different challenges, and with all these four different hats that you're wearing, right? Um,
Yes.
there has to be one particular hat that carries more weight or probably give you more challenges than the others. What would you say that is?
I would have to say that the hat that would carry the most weight is, and I don't even want to frame it in the terms of just carrying the most weight, but the I'll say it like this: the hat that is the largest and has the most gravity is that of being a Christian.
Mm.
Because me being a Christian determines the husband that I am, the father that I am, the business owner that I am. So, some people, they have they live their lives. It was like, well, I have what they call a quote unquote church life, and then a life outside of church.
Mm.
I don't have a dividing line between the two. It's just because I'm not, I don't, it's not so much with me as far as religion, quote unquote, but it's more of a relationship with God. My relationship with God means everything to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to govern my life, simply by that, and that determines how I treat my wife, how I treat my children, and how I conduct myself in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm. So, it would be fair to say we have some fakers. Do we? Because one life is at church, one life is at their business place, a different life is at home, and you know what I mean. Um,
I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, I would have to say yes, that does occur, but I think that really occurs because people fail to realize who they are and whose they are.
yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Um, so, all of these hats, right? The husband, the father, the business owner, the Christian, um, comes with, again, their own challenges. But the question I want to ask you is,
Mhm.
what has marriage taught you about leadership that business never could? Because because when you really
That's
look
a
at
good
it,
one.
when you look at it, when you really look at it, it's uh, the, the the dynamics is different from home,
Mhm,
from church, from your business,
mhm.
and as a father.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a very good question, and the reason why I laughed is because you know, as you know, I mean, right now at this point in my life, the business that we have is with my wife is involved, my daughter's involved, so we work together, and
Mm.
my wife and I have worked together for years. We had another business back in the day, and but just marriage in general. And I laughed. The reason why I laughed is I was like, man, my wife was fussing at me this morning about something,
Mm.
and it was like something that we were talking about, and something I don't even remember what it was, but something that it was one of those things on the list that she asked me to do. I just haven't gotten around to doing it, and I was just like, oh, let me get to it. Let me get to it.
Mm.
Been busy doing other things, but I think when it comes to just marriage in general, marriage is tough,
Okay,
and
can you say that again? Because I mean, I don't think the audience hear you. You want me to say it for you?
mar- no,
Marriage.
I can say it again. Marriage is tough. It
Yeah.
is tough, and one of the reasons why it's tough is because you have these two people who come together. They're totally different,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the good thing, and it's good that they're different. But the person that you met, I've been married this June to be 35 years. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
seem like it, but it's been 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the person that my wife met 37 years
Years
ago,
ago,
I'm not that
is not
I'm
as
not the
a.
same person.
So you say you're growing.
She's not the same person.
So you say you're growing.
Uh,
You both are growing.
that's yeah. So as you're growing, you're constantly learning each other,
Learning
and
and
you're
shape.
constantly
Right. Right.
evolving and stuff. And as you're evolving, things are different. Then it's like, wait a minute, I don't remember that
Mm-hmm.
because the person is evolving.
Yeah.
So it's constantly getting used to and constantly understanding how a person is evolving. You don't know what the end product is going to look like, but you're growing through that process, and it could be a tough process because it's as we get older. Women get older.
Their
Go through
mood.
certain cycles,
Yes.
seasons in life.
Their mood
You know,
changes and yeah.
and for men, we don't necessarily we don't deal with that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but while they are going through these things, through some of these changes, it's just like, man, I can't imagine. I can't imagine what it's like being a woman and having, but me as a man, me as a husband, seeing my wife dealing with different changes that's just naturally happening in her life.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of like I got to be very supportive, even
Very,
when I don't understand it.
very, 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 very
You know,
supportive. I think, yeah, I think
so
we take the hats off. Go ahead, man.
yeah. So I will say this. So as it relates to business, business sort of has its rules, and those rules are sort of set. So that everybody knows and understands these are the parameters that we work within. Well, it's like that in marriage too, but the parameters are a lot looser.
Mm.
And they have to be. But business is just like you're only going to do so much. You're only going to go so far. But when it comes to marriage, it's just like two people who are constantly evolving. And you see the evolution over a period of time. So in business, yeah, businesses they grow and they evolve. They evolve and they scale. and there's an evolution there too, but it's more of a controlled. It's more in a controlled environment. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I don't know if I want to touch that right now, but um, you would have played some major part in church in churches, right? Um,
Yes.
you don't have to go into depth because that deserve a whole program by itself. But what
Hmm.
are some of the challenges? Well, maybe just give us maybe one of the
Okay.
challenge that you have encountered, either whether it's by yourself, you yourself personally encountered that, or what you have heard somebody, or you know someone who have encountered. But just one, just one is good.
Okay? So can you repeat the question? I
Y-
want to make sure I understand.
Yeah, for example, all right. So one major one major challenge that congregants or the congregation or
Hmm.
someone from the congregation, whether it is personal or that goes through in the church, that you can look at and say,
Hmm.
boy, that should have been handled differently, or you probably would have handled it differently yourself.
You know what? I will answer that question this way. There are there are specific things that I could point my finger to, but I won't. I'll
Mm.
answer it this way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There was a time uh, when I first came to Christ. Right, my family, we all, we all came to Christ the same year, within a few months of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the pastor of the church that I was at, or that we were at, he had gotten sick. And I'm gonna make this very quick. He got sick, and he ended up having like a massive stroke.
Mm.
And my mother being a new convert, she started spending time with the pastor's wife, and this particular pastor is he was a bishop, and he had, I don't know how long he had been married to his wife, but it wasn't his first marriage. It was like I think it was his third marriage, because his first two wives had passed.
Mm.
Um, but his third wife, I really liked her. She was a very nice lady, and but she was married before, but her husband had passed. So somehow they got hooked up. They got married. So anyway, long story short, I remember she used to give my mother a lot of good practical advice. And my mother being a new convert, she ate it up. And I remember one day, my mother would like take her to like doctor's appointments and things like that. And I was at their house one time, and she told my mother, she said, I want you to remember one thing. She said, they are just men. They're trying to do the right thing. They have a heart to do the right thing, but sometimes they don't get it right.
Oh, trust me.
But I want you to remember, they're just men. Now, because I was there and I heard this, and I was probably about 16 years old at the time, I never forgot it. So
Mm.
whenever things would happen that could have been handled a little differently, that always registered at the back of my mind.
Mm.
Give them grace, because they are just men.
Yeah.
They're just as human as yes, they have a title of leadership, but leadership is just as human as anybody else, and sometimes they don't get it right.
Okay.
So if they don't get it right, if someone's feelings get hurt, okay, hopefully apologies will be made, and things like that. But at the end of the day, I try to give people grace, because they got to live this human experience just like everyone else.
Okay. So the flip side of that then would be women need to be given grace.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Oh, it was a question. It was a question.
Absolutely. Everybody needs to be given
Yeah.
grace.
So I don't. We can't leave the woman out because I know somebody is saying, okay, so what about we women? We're
Ah,
supposed to get grace. So
I got you.
yes, you deserve
Right,
grace.
right.
You deserve grace. I want to make
Yes,
sure I put that out there. It's,
absolutely.
it's not just men, they're just women
That's right.
too.
That's
They deserve grace.
right.
All right. So we know marriages, talking about marriage is a very hot topic. Talking about mental health is also a hot topic. Talking about
Hmm.
men and what they um, are going through is also a major topic, right? Major topic to
Hmm.
talk about. Um, but I am sure that when it comes to leadership, that marriage has taught you, um, well, in your business, right? You would have made some form
Hmm.
of mistake, right? So
Right.
tell us the one mistake that you made early as a husband or as a father that changed how you lead today, changed the way you lead because of that one
Mm.
mistake.
There is one particular moment that really helped shape me, and this was years ago. And this was a conversation between my son and I. And at the time, he was 5 years old. And we were going through a family crisis, I'll say. My oldest daughter, she was in a hospital getting prepared for surgery, brain surgery, and she had had several of them. And my son, at 5 years old, he came to me one day because my wife and daughter, they were at the hospital. So I spent my time making sure that he was taken care of, and then him and I would go to the hospital on a regular basis. But one day he said to me, he said, "Dad," he said, and my daughter's name is Ashley. He
Mhm.
said, "Is Ashley going to not make it?" But he didn't use the word "not make it."
Mhm.
I don't know what words I can say because I don't want to get you
Yeah, yeah,
any
yeah. I know how that is.
any bans or anything like
Yeah.
that. But anyway, so at 5 years old, he said that to me, and when he said that to me, I was shocked. Number one, number two, I didn't really have an answer for him,
Mm.
and I quickly prayed, and I was like, God, you got to give me something you got to give me a response, and I did respond to him.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I learned in that, just in that exchange, is that it doesn't matter how young kids are, it doesn't matter where people are. You never know what's going on in their minds.
Mhm. Mhm.
So when you find out, you need to really pay attention to what's actually being said. And from that point on, it just really shaped me to really. I think I've always pretty much been a very good listener, but it made me hone my listening skills in even more, and not just the listening skills, but sensitivity to
Mhm.
where people might be. I've never forgotten that, and I've always held on to that.
So and that right there, what you just said, is not just for business and home, but you would have used that in your everyday life.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Good. Good. Um. Now, when you're wearing so many different hats, right? Um, there's no magic here, right? Um, and it is not easy for someone to be wearing so many hats. And for those of you who are just joining, um, we're talking about being a husband, a father, a business owner, and Christian, and also as a Christian. Um, so, like I was saying, you would have had. Um, so let me just go straight ahead and ask you the question. How do you stay present,
Okay.
right, at home? How do you stay present at home when the pressure to provide and to perform is really weighty, it's heavy?
Hmm. That's a very good question.
Cause
Very good question. I
cause
think
staying present
one of the
is mm-hmm,
one of the things that I've learned, and one of the things that I try to do since I've become accustomed to working together with my family.
mm-hmm.
First, it was just me and Shireen for a number of years. So when we're not working, we actually made time just to carve out certain times in a day, certain times in a week, and we just like, look, this is our time, or this is family time. And also, as we have engaged in business, even when my children were younger, and we would have to travel, we would generally take them with us. And sometimes, depending upon, if we had meetings or something like that, sometimes we would have them in the room because I wanted them to see, how things get done, or how we did things. So I think I had an advantage probably over a lot of people because I've had the opportunity to work with my family for a long time. Compared to most people, they have to go and segment their time. Now the challenge with working with family is you're working with family, and you're together all the time, all the time.
Right. So
So
go ahead. Go ahead.
So you can sort of wear on each other a lot more because you're together all the time. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah,
But,
it's not a bad thing. It's just that the, that was going to be my follow up question um, because it's not easy for wife and husband or couples to work in the same environment, right?
right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not easy because some husband
And
can work with their wife, some wife cannot work with their husband. I mean, they can work separate places, you know what I mean? But working in the same
True.
environment can for some people becomes a challenge. And I was gonna talk about that, but since you get ahead of me, so that's good.
But I will also say too, one of the challenges is I try to at some point in time turn the switch off. I don't want to think about business. I don't want to talk about business anymore. And then sometimes my wife, she may not have turned that switch off.
Right.
And then sometimes she's turned the switch off,
And
I haven't turned it off.
Right.
So it said, you got to sort of, it's a balancing game. I mean, the first thing, when I wake up in the morning, I don't want to talk about business right away. I just don't. I want to do the things that I normally am accustomed to doing and, spend whatever time I need to do those things. But I don't want to talk about business right away. But sometimes it comes up and, it is what it is. But, so it's a balancing act.
Okay. Yeah, it is a balancing act. So have you ever had to choose between like profit and principles? And if you did, what did that decision, that level of decision, cost you? If it is that it cost you something, what does that look like?
So the answer is yes, I have. Um, there were some opportunities that I could have taken advantage of that would have worked out financially very well. But because of who was involved and what was involved, I decided, no, not doing that. And then I realized very quickly, all money is not good money.
No.
So yeah, there have been times when I've just had to like really be careful about who becomes your business partners, because there have been times when my wife, she told me on a particular occasion, we were building these restaurants, these Burger King restaurants, and she told me on a particular occasion not to do something with a particular partner. And And I did, because I'm looking at big picture. There's an opportunity to do this stuff all over the country, and you know.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, no. There's one thing. Don't do that. And I did it. And it went. Things did not go well. I ended up losing a lot of money as a result of it. And not money that I could have made. Money that was stolen from me. Because it's one thing she told me, don't do, and I did it. Because I was looking at bigger picture.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be nice if we as husbands listen to our wives more often? Is she right there? Is she beside you?
No. She's somewhere else. But no, you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
The answer to that question is yes.
I think we as husbands, we would have saved ourselves a lot of time, a lot of headaches, if we just listen a little bit more, just a little bit more. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, but don't feel bad. You're not the only one going through this. We are. You're not the only one who have been through it. It's an ongoing thing. Look, I'm telling you, I have a friend that he's getting ready to do a school, and it's pretty much geared towards men, men that are married, men that are divorced, men that are hoping to get married. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, it is going to draw a lot of attention because it started already. He's just talking about it, and the platform is coming up soon. So trust me, we are not the only one that is experiencing these type of things.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's move right along. All right. So let's talk a little bit about faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know that you're a man of faith, right? And so your faith a lot of times can be tested or are being tested, not necessarily in your home or at church, but in the boardroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the question then is, what does faith look like for you in the boardroom? Not on Sunday, but say on Monday morning.
It's a very good question. I have to say it looks the same. I don't change anything that I do. I talk to the people the exact same way. Well, I don't care who you are, because I really believe in getting to know people, and if I can meet someone or know someone, I know this person, we have a relationship. I feel that I have a responsibility to do my best to make that relationship as best it possibly can be.
Mm-hmm.
And if I see things in people where I feel I can help them and they're open for that, I'm not saying, hey, let me help you with this, let me help you with that. I'm not doing that. But a lot of times people come to me, they confide a lot of things, things that may be going on in their lives. I actually think that it actually, for me, it's been my experience. I've been in some rooms with some very, very successful people.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm not compromising on my faith, they're like, hey, how come you haven't been in here before? Because they're talking about faith. And a lot of times we don't necessarily, we think that, the people who've been very successful, they may not, talk about things like that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people that I've met, they actually do. Now, there are some people who don't. But even the people who don't, that I have encountered, they may not like you. They may talk about you, but that's fine. I've never really cared about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about, I try to focus on who the person is. And I don't look at somebody as, well, this guy, has this position, or this guy has this position. Everybody's a person at the end of the day.
Yes.
And it's just, and so I just try to treat people in that vein. So whether it's Sunday or Wednesday
Mm-hmm.
or Friday. It doesn't matter to me. It's all the same.
Treat people the way you would want to be treated.
That's right.
Right. If you treat people the way you would want to be treated, if everybody was doing it, this world would have been a better place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look beyond their fault
That's right.
and
That's
solve
right.
their need.
That's right.
Yeah, that's important. Very important. How do you handle failure without letting it shake your identity or your faith? How you know, we all have failed and come short,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle that? Because not many people can handle failure. We know what happened a few years back when the stock market went down, crash. I know for a fact that because I was living in New York at that time, there's some people jump off the bridge and kill themselves, and it's simply because they used to have
Right.
steak for dinner and they can't have steak anymore. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so
Right.
yeah, they can't. So many there are a lot of people who cannot handle failure. So how do you
I
handle
think, and,
failure without letting it shake your identity or your faith?
well, I think to the point that you just the what you just said. A lot of people can't handle failure. That's very unfortunate. Now, I will say this. I mean, trust me, I've had many failures, many failures. And the one thing that I do know is the way that most of us have been culturally conditioned is to think that when we have failure, or when we fail, it's the worst thing in the world.
Mm.
But in actuality, it's one of the best things in the world. It's one of the greatest teachers. I've had many successes in life. And to the point, but I don't think about my successes. But what stays on my mind is my failures. Because my failures have really helped shape me, not my successes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So whenever I fail, yeah, I'm disappointed like everybody else. Yeah, I thought the outcome would be different. I didn't mean to get caught up in this or caught up in that. But whatever the situation is, it's never there to destroy me. It's there for a purpose, so that maybe I need to learn some lessons,
Mm-hmm.
so that as I'm moving forward, as I'm growing, as I'm evolving, I'll be equipped to be in that next place where God is intending for me to be. So a lot of times failure is well, I'm not gonna say a lot of times failure is a necessity in life. There is no way around it. And I have had people, very successful people, say to me, that they will not invest in anybody who has not failed in life.
Right.
That's something.
That's something. Yeah.
It's something.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I always look at that if I was a recruiter, I if I'm recruiting for let's say for a company or stuff like that, I would not. I don't think I all of my workers would be those who make all A's in school. Um,
That's right.
you know what I mean? Because
That's right.
a part of my selection process or also my interview would be have you what sports or what activities do you take part in the 4 or 5 years that you have been in college or whatever. And if you never take part in any of those things, my antenna would go up because
Mm-hmm.
how do I know that you know how to deal with people? How do you handle conflict? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? All that stuff that you learn that you should be learning if you were a part
That's right.
of a team.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So
That's right.
yeah.
And Dennis, if there's one other thing that I can add to what you just said, it just piggybacks off what you just said. If you really want to get to know a person, see how they respond to their failures. See how they respond to trouble when trouble comes in their life, because trouble's coming in everybody's life. If you really want to know the real person, see how they are when they're confronted with trouble. Now, I'm not saying that you see how they are and you judge them,
Mhm.
because you know, everybody doesn't show up, the best in the best light. None of us do. But if you really want to see the heart of a person, you when observe them when they are in trouble.
Yeah. All right, moving right along, guys. Look, if you welcome Kissy Face, I know who you are. I know who that is. That's my sister. I know exactly who you are. Don't be hiding from me. You could come. I don't care how much names you want to come up with. I don't care how many times you want to change it. I'm going to find out it's you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So we just have a few more questions here. Go ahead and share. Go ahead and share. You know, the last questions are always the best question. We save the best for last. So go ahead and share. All right. So what boundaries? All right. What boundaries have you had to fight hardest to protect? And just tell us why. Why that particular boundary or boundaries?
That's a very good question, and I'll say this: years ago, there was when I would be out driving, there was a radio station I would listen to. It was a Christian radio station, and I think it was like 1 o'clock every day. If I was driving, there was this Christian psychologist or whatever. This was two guys. They had a company, and they did not psychology, but what do you call it? They were therapists. So, and one of the things that they would talk about was setting proper boundaries. And they made the point that most people in their lives, we struggle to set proper boundaries. And I learned a lot just from listening to them. And this was 20 plus years ago when I would listen to them. But I've never forgotten it. And what it taught me, because no one else had ever really taught me specifically about how the importance of setting boundaries in life, whether it's boundaries between work and family, and boundaries between just different relationships that you have, with people. But I think probably the biggest boundary is just separating work life from family life. That's probably been the biggest thing. Even though they're intertwined a lot, understanding that, there are times when it's our time and that other stuff is going to take care of itself, and we'll get back to that. But I've always, tried to maintain a good balance and set good boundaries, and then also too, boundaries with my own personal time. Because what I've found is that there's some people are just takers. They just take. And they can drain you.
I think boundaries, and again, okay. So when it comes to marriage, right? And that's why I believe that counseling before marriage is very important, because there's a level of boundaries that are expected when you get married, and it becomes very challenging. It's very difficult because, okay, so I know these people for 15, 20 years, but I only know you for 3 years, and you're saying that because of boundaries, I no longer can be friends or hang out with my friends that I know for 20 years and 15 years, or you know what I mean? So, and I think that is where a lot of men having that kind of issue. So the counseling is very important, because then the counseling will say, are you sure that you're ready for this? Because when you get married, you are not expected to do this and that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so if you are not ready to drop all of that or to minimize all of that, then you might want to take some more time until you're ready.
Very true. Very, very true, Dennis. And I will say this too. I remember, I'll just give you a short example. I remember one time I just got married, and we did do marital counseling beforehand. And it was very good. I just got married, and I had some friends who were still single. And this is years ago, and they were into video games, right? I would play every now and then, but I was the guy who was always like, yeah, I had some friends talk a lot of trash and stuff like that. They play and stuff. And I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah.
But I wouldn't really talk. I wouldn't really talk that much trash. I would just like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna destroy you. I'm very competitive. I'm competitive with myself. So my mind's like, no, I'm gonna destroy you. But what I found out when I first got married, I'm like, I'm still hanging out with them sometimes. One of my buddies, he lived like right around the corner from me, but still, I'm at his house when I should be home.
Yeah.
And then I had another buddy who was married. He had just got married too. So we're going from house to house, and they're coming to my house. And then my wife is like looking at me. It's like, what's going on? But then God had to deal with me. Just like, wait a minute. You're spending all of this time on something that doesn't even matter. This isn't even real stuff. These are games.
Right.
Time, and I'm not anybody who plays video games. I don't really play now, and I haven't played in a long time.
I don't play video games.
Yeah, so it's just like it's not my thing. But back then, when I was a young man, I had to make some decisions. Just like, you know what, this is taking too much of my time that I could be spending with my wife. We didn't have any kids at that time. And then what really hit me, when I would go to my friend who was married, he was married too. The way that his wife, I had known his wife for years before they got married. And the way she would look at me when I would come in the door, I just said, nope, can't do this anymore. And what I mean is, she would look at me with disdain.
Like, why are you coming here? Like, give us a break.
Yeah, but it would like be a group of us, and she would just look at us all the same, and it was just like, and then God had to like open my eyes, and just like, and it was even a scripture that I found. I was like, oh, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be like that. So I understood, and I just like, no, I just hung things up, and just like, no, I'm good. So that's been decades ago. So
yeah, and it's still relevant today.
Yes.
All right, so we are coming down to the end now, and these are just some more somewhat direct question. What do you hope your children remember most about you? How you live your we're gonna do them step by step. So let's start with faith. Yeah. What do you hope your children remember most about how you live your faith walk?
I hope that they remember more than anything that I was consistent in what I said. And I hope that I'm able to be an example for them that you can, walk with God, and you're figuring out what that is as you're doing it. But the biggest thing is just being consistent. With that. Not just, I heard one guy say something, and he said something about his mother. I don't know who this guy is, but it was something I saw online, and I was like, I was hurt for his mother. He said, and he was making a comment. He said, yeah, my mother, I was growing up, she would go to church. She was like one of those fake Christians. And I was like, oh. I was like, wow. Now he's a grown man saying this about his mother, about when he was a kid and what he observed. Now he didn't go into what he observed, and that's all he said. But that was enough. I was like, man, that cuts deep. And I just said to myself, I said, man, I hope that his mother never sees that. Because I don't know where she is now. I don't know what type of life she lives now. I don't know her. I don't know him. But just to hear that from him, it's just like, man,
Yeah.
That's pretty rough.
Right. Stuff like that becomes a hindrance for people who are trying to for people who are trying to walk the walk and talk. All right,
Hmm.
so let me get this puzzle done because TikTok want me to do the puzzle. Okay. Um, yeah, all right. So okay, so you say consistency for the faith walk, you would want your kids to at least remember that you were consistent in your faith walk. Um,
Right.
what about in business as a business owner?
I think in business, someone who didn't compromise their values, who
Mhm.
who who understood that you don't have to compromise your values if something isn't working out, or a business partner isn't working out, or some business transaction isn't working out, and you have to compromise your values. It's not worth it.
Okay.
It's not worth it. So I hope that if anything, they could remember that do
Hmm.
not you don't have to compromise yourself for the sake of quote unquote what you think success will be.
Hmm. Yeah, and that sound more like the music industry. That sound like Hollywood type of
Mm-hmm.
thing, and
Yes,
this
yes,
and
indeed.
yes. So we don't want to do that. When it comes to fatherhood,
Hmm.
what would you say?
I hope my hope would be that they knew that I love them
Hmm.
dearly, that I sacrificed for them, that I tried to give them the best. And when I mean give them the best, I'm not talking about just give them stuff, but give them my time, my presence, my insight. Um, so I hope that they would remember that more than anything.
All right, and Biggie. Biggie is the next one, and I had to leave the best for last, man.
Okay, all right.
Biggie is the next one, so I'm giving you time to think. So so,
Okay.
all right. So you talk about as a Christian man, you would hope that your children remember your level of consistency in your walk, right? Um,
Hmm.
as a business owner, you wouldn't want them. You would hope that they remember that it's okay to don't compromise their values. And as a
Hmm.
father, you would want them to remember that you have shown them love. You love them dearly. You sacrifice. They see the sacrifices that you have done, um, and your presence and your insight, right?
Hmm.
And now, drum roll. Um, drum roll. All right. So let me just set it up for you now. So when it comes when it comes to your ability as a husband, what do you
Hmm.
hope your children will remember most about how you live your life as a husband?
Um, Great question. Great question. I would have to say that I hope that they know that I love their mother, and that my goal was to take care of their mother and to do the best for her that I possibly could. I also hope that, because they live with us, or lived with us
Mm-hmm.
growing up, that when they saw conflict between me and their mother, some people say, well, no, you shouldn't have disagreements in front of the kids and stuff like that. And I used to believe that, but I don't really believe that anymore because
I think it's an
kids
education.
need to learn. Huh?
I think it's education.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
because
they
I
need to
think that's one way that children learn conflict resolution.
resolution, correct.
They can see two people
Disagree to agree.
disagree, and they can come to some. Now, in many cases, the kids won't necessarily see how the disagreement is resolved, but they can see that there is some sort of resolution. So I think, if anything, I would want them to, or I would hope that they would see that their father, the flawed man that I am, tried to do the best that I could with what I had.
Because they are just men.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are just men.
That's right.
Yeah, so we can't leave that part out, Brother Frank.
That's right.
We can't leave that part
That's
out.
right.
So the overarching question would be, when it's all said and done, what kind of legacy actually matters to you, and are you living towards it now?
Great question.
And it could be just one thing. It could be, to become a bishop. It could be to be the next. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying here.
Listen, as far as legacy is concerned, what I would hope for my kids to walk away with is that, and to know, is that that's one of the most important things to me. First, my relationship with God is not going to be their relationship with God, but I want them, and they do have their own personal relationship. So I'm grateful for that, and they're serious about it, and they're walking in that. I'm grateful for that. So I don't think that there's a legacy that's greater than that there. And then the other things that we're working towards, and setting things in order so that not just for them, but for, as the Bible talks about, leaving a legacy for your children's children. I think that first legacy is having to encourage them to have their own personal relationship with God,
right?
So that they would walk with God and be the people that He's called them to be. Then after that, whatever you can do to not just help them have an advantage, some sort of advantage in life, whether it's, I heard a Jewish rabbi say this one time, and he was he wasn't making a comparison, but he said one thing about some communities, and he was mainly talking about the African American community. He said many of them put their children out too quickly. He said when they turn 18, they got to leave home and go do something. They have to fight the world, fight in the world by themselves. And he said that they typically believe that, kid turns 18, graduates high school. If he wants to go to college, that's fine. If he or she needs to stay home, that's fine. But as they are doing that, they give them the ability to save money and things like that, so that when they do go out into the world, they've been able to save up a down payment for a house. And, so they have some advantages that many other people don't have, because they just were, their circumstances, they were just thrown out, and and they have to fend for themselves. So I hope that they can see those things and walk away with those things. And at the end of the day, like I told my son one time, he told me, he said he came to me one time, he said, Dad, he said, I wish that you all would have done this and done that and done this and done that. And I said, really? I said, you know what? This is before he was married, before he had kids. I said, you know what? I said, I tell you what. I said, I'm not going to apologize for the things I didn't do. I felt that I tried to do the best I could with what I had.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but, I said, now I'm not the perfect father. I said, but here's the great thing. You're going to get an opportunity to be that perfect father. And you're going to get to do all of those things that you said we didn't do for you. I said, now, and here's the other thing. I said, and when your kids grow up and they come to you and they say, well, we wish that you would have did this and that and this. I said, then you might remember this conversation that you're having with me. And you're going to understand even then, like, oh, that's what he was trying to communicate to me. So, I just hope that my kids will know that they had a father who loved them and wanted the best for them. And more than anything, wanted to encourage them to be the people that God has called them to be and to have a relationship with him and to walk with him.
Nice segue there, Brother Frank, to end this this live, right? Because we're not on podcast today, but we are on YouTube, and we are also on TikTok. And again,
okay.
So we are live on two social media platforms.
Okay.
So thank you again for joining the Impact, where your story is your testimony. We really appreciate you taking the time out and talk about husband, father, business owner, and Christian life.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sign off YouTube and spend some more time on. Well, let me do this. Let's. All right. So we're gonna sign off of YouTube, and we're gonna stick around for another 5 minutes on